Dr. Sliwa, thanks for joining us this morning. So tell me, how is the program structured?
The concept was to divide up that residency and to allow these individuals to do research during their residency training so that they would actually have pilot data. They would actually be able to actually have an ongoing research project and to work on it longitudinally so that when they finish their training, they would have pilot data, possibly even be in a position to submit grants or to get funding and hit the ground running as a physician scientist after they complete training.
What type of individual would be a good fit for this type of resident research track?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think everybody talks about wanting to do research. What we're talking about is someone who wants to develop research as a significant component of their career. So the individuals that have finished this program have typically gone off and into practice, and research is 70 to 75% of what they do. Their clinical work may be 25 to 30%. So we are looking for individuals that have a commitment to research as a part of their career, but also have the skills and the training prior to be able to respond to this type of training and mentorship to actually succeed at that level. So it's a select group, and we wanted to make sure that indeed the resources that we invest into the program do translate into outcome, and this outcome would be clinician scientists.
So what are some of the obstacles you had to overcome to develop something like this? Because this is a novel program. There's not a lot of places that provide similar opportunities for residents interested in research.
Yeah, so there were probably less obstacles than there were just processes that we had to go through. So first of all, we had to make sure that the ACGME was on board because, as you know, when you submit information to them and they start to see gaps in residency training, they wonder what the heck's going on. And so to make sure that they understood what we were doing and they were on board. The same thing was with the American Board of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation to make sure that indeed they were in agreement and that individuals would then be board eligible because this was a different way of doing training. It was a different sequence of training. And then lastly, of course, was graduate medical education at Northwestern to make absolutely sure that they understood what this was and they signed off on this and supported it going forward.
Can you talk a little bit about the financial commitment? Because I think that other places thinking about programs like this, to me, it seems like that might be the biggest barrier. Where does the financial commitment for this program come from?
Yeah. So when you think about it, what we've actually done is we've taken a 4-year program and made it a 5-year program. And when you structurally actually think about it, the first year, the fundamental clinical skills wasn't changed. The second year in our program, which is predominantly PGY2 inpatient, didn't change. But the third and the fourth year was then divided up into 3 years. So we took 2 years, divided up into 3 years. And each of those 3 years, a resident had 4 months of research that they could do. And they would structure it that would best fit what they were working on. We've had some who were working actually in the animal lab, and this was the time that they needed to be off. And so we were able to do that. While they're on that research 4 months, they are technically not a part of the residency. Yet we supported them. So in essence, what we did was, through graduate medical education, supported individuals for 3 years instead of 2 years of their training.
That's phenomenal to get those types of financial resources. Obviously, I think it's a commitment, but also it ties into the vision of what the department and the hospital really want to do to help support clinician scientists. I've obviously had the benefit of adopting your program and taking it over and running with the framework that you already set forth. But for any program that wants to launch something similar, what are the key lessons you've learned in shaping something like this and getting it going from the ground up?
Number one, the organization has to be on board because there is a financial commitment. Number two, you have to make sure that you have the research support and the mentors to do this, because a lot of the time that these residents are spending, they're spending with research mentors that are helping develop their projects and in their careers. And of course, third of all is you have to reach out to your sponsoring institution to make sure that they are on board, to make sure that they know what's taking place, because again, in terms of training versus times that you're not training, you're still a part of the residency, but you're not necessarily a part of the ACGME required training. And so it gets a little interesting. And it really helps when graduate medical education understands all of this in advance, and you don't have to try to explain it afterwards.
Could you tell us a little bit about the participants that have gone through our program and what they're doing?
Yeah, so our very first graduate is very interested in neuromuscular medicine, finished the 5-year program, and then did a fellowship in neuromuscular medicine in the Department of Neurology. And now is on our medical staff, has done a number of research projects, has a lab here, has about 25% of their time clinical. The second is someone who's very interested in sensors and mechanical devices as an engineer, actually created his own sensors during his residency training, has now joined us as a faculty member and is working on sensor feedback and exercise after spinal cord injury. Our third resident, who is now just completing the program, is actually working on cachexia in cancer and using an animal model, and is developing an animal model of cancer and cachexia to look at the benefits of exercise and rehabilitation in the cancer patient. So they're doing some really novel and unique things. They've all been very, very successful in their research projects and have developed very nicely their research and clinical careers during the training.
That's great. What is your hope for the future of this program?
So, I think that this is obviously the future of our specialty and something that PM&R has needed for quite some time. I would like to see a candidate a year in this program to recruit individuals that are interested in this type of a career, and possibly, if the resources are there, to actually expanding it to more than just one a year. This could be 2 a year or 3 a year if the need is there. And I'm sure the logistics could be worked out, but we could really be producing a significant number of physician scientists, which would just take the specialty further.
That's wonderful. So thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Sliwa. Thanks for taking us through this journey of, I think it took you about 10 years to launch this, you launched this program 10 years ago. It must be very fulfilling to see that all kind of come to fruition and see an idea like this just turn into a reality. So thanks for sharing your process and the thoughts of how you constructed this program.
Thanks for the opportunity.